Previously, in the last chapter, Psychke was punished to die by her father who adopted her, because they found out that Psychke attempted to kill Lillian, the real daughter of the Psychke family. However, Psychke was actually framed. Still, no one believed in her. In the end, Psychke drank the poison given to her to commit suicide as punishment. She died a foolish death, but surprisingly, she went back to the past. Moreover, she can use mana again that was sealed in her previous life. She came back at the time when Lillian, who disappeared, was also back. Psychke vowed to leave this family. Continuing the story, Psychke woke up with a headache in the next morning. She complained about an unknown headache, even back when she was still young, which is why Izzer, her stepbrother, sends her tea, and Melissa, her personal maid, preparing it for her. She starts her day, drinking tea, every day, even though the tea tastes terrible. Psychke didn't want to drink it, but she believed Izzer, who said it could cure her headache. But honestly, her headache hadn't changed at all. She looked outside, noticing someone. Melissa, Psychke's previous maid, was having a fun conversation with Lillian. Psychke sighed at the voices of Lillian and the maids from the window. Why does it have to be right down there, she thought. She listened to their voices with one ear and glanced at the clock. Psychke was dressing herself, since she doesn't have a maid to attend her anymore. Unlike the past, when Psychke insisted on wearing colorful dresses to stand out, she didn't want to do that anymore either. To be a fake princess. Which is why she was wearing modest clothes today. To meet someone. Without wearing any accessories such as earrings or necklaces, Psychke left the room. She always wear accessories when meeting him, but now is different. An argument can be heard in the hallway. It seems to be a serious topic. They were having a conversation about sending reinforcements against the beasts in the north. A man with dark hair with his cold face and Izzer were coming out of the hallway. Izzer is able to request reinforcement, but he doesn't want to do so, although it was really possible. After declining the man with the dark hair's appeal, Izzer quickly disappeared. The man who was left alone spat and cursed under his breath, really upset. He didn't notice Psychke, who was hiding behind the pillar and watched as the situation unfolds. Right after, Psychke came out and called the man, pretending not to be surprised. The black-haired man didn't reply, and he seemed not happy upon seeing Psychke. Still, he changed his tone and greeted Psychke politely. Duke Bernadia Lestier, one of the 3 major dukes in the empire, softly smiled. He is on the same level as Psychke's foster father, and is the owner of the purple flame. Psychke might just be imagining things, but she thought that the purple flame was familiar. Duke Bernadia is also one of the biggest obstacles in Psychke's plan. Since he is her current fiancé, she needs to completely cut ties with him to leave Psychke family. Instead of being happy, Psychke faced his purple eyes, which contained no affection at all. Bernadia's expression hardened. He thought that Psychke shouldn't get involved.
I can fix that.
Psychke told Duke Bernadia that she can help in dealing the beasts in the north. A year from now, dungeons in Duke Lestier began to be filled with high-level monsters. In the beginning, they blocked them, but the casualties keep increasing. Therefore, Duke Bernadia asked the imperial soldiers as reinforcements. In order to tie him down, the emperor persuaded him to be engaged with Psychke, who represented the imperial faction, and one of the people of the crown prince. Therefore, Psychke was just a chess piece to control Duke Bernadia's military power. At the beginning of the forced engagement, he fell in love with Psychke for her kindness. However, Psychke found out later that Bernadia didn't accept her more than a certain level. So, Psychke tried to attract his attention, terrified that her marriage might be broken, or that she would be kicked out of the Psychke family. For that crime, As a result, Bernadia came to hate Psyche for being insincere and desperate for attention. Bernadia didn't want to entertain Psyche anymore, so he bid farewell.
Turk, Eldia, Assam.
All of a sudden, Psyche mentioned some strange words. The man who was about to leave turned his back and looked at Psyche. Duke Bernadia tried hiding the information, saying it doesn't matter where Psyche heard it. They are the names of the higher-level monsters that appeared in the north. Psyche suggested that she will reveal how to fight back, without relatively much damage in return. However, she made a condition in exchange of handing important information. Psyche said that Bernadia was only forced to get engaged with her because of the monsters. Bernadia interrupted Psyche's words, understanding that she doesn't want to break the engagement. However, Psyche denied the speculation and replied that she wants to be disengaged instead. Bernadia didn't expect that at all. As soon as the monsters disappears, break our marriage. Psyche continued. Bernadia responded a bit late and asked if Psyche wasn't joking. Psyche lifted her left hand and tapped the gold ring on her ring finger. She then told Bernadia that she wants to take the ring off, even right now. Duke Bernadia couldn't respond, but Psyche didn't care less. The engagement ring was Lestier's heirloom and can share locations and emotions with each other. In order to take off the ring, he had to go to Vicendi's temple and declare the breakdown of engagement. Emotion sharing needs the emotions to be intense. And Psyche also didn't want to reveal her location when she leaves the Psychke family. Unfortunately, Bernadia refused and have no intention of taking it out right now. Psyche understood. Bernadia doesn't want the emperor to be suspicious. Psyche continued expressionless, that once the monsters are gone, it can be done. Suddenly, Duke Bernadia was skeptical because the deal doesn't benefit Psyche. Psyche responded that getting rid of the engagement is the benefit itself. Still, Bernadia didn't understand and was wondering about Psyche's incomprehensible words. Psyche replied that it didn't matter if Bernadia understood her intentions or not. She even offered to make a contract so that Bernadia won't be suspicious. Afterwards, Duke Bernadia left with his carriage but was deep in thought. Recognizing that the master was not feeling well, the aide, Isolde, asked cautiously. Isolde thought that the Duke was unwell, but the Duke asked a question about Psyche out of nowhere. Isolde quickly shook his head. From their perspective, Psyche doesn't gain anything from the disengagement. Staying engaged was better, because Psyche would have gained more influence. Duke Bernadia told his aide that the princess has demanded to break out the marriage. Isolde's mouth opened wide at the shocking news. He thought he knew how Psyche was obsessed with Bernadia, but it seemed to be just a misunderstanding. Unfortunately, Bernadia saw that Psyche was serious and sincere about the matter. Nervousness, anxiety, those feelings were always mixed within him, surfacing from inside. Still, he thought he should be careful in handling this matter because it involves his dukedom. Right after, Duke Bernadia issued an order to Isolde. He's going to use the crows, which he used to dig out the weaknesses of his enemies on the princess. Bright morning in the Psychke's garden. Psyche, who had broke up with Bernadia, slowly went around the garden and strolled. It was to organize thoughts on how to deal with Duke Lestier's castles with the beasts attacking. In the past, she had been researching about monsters but can't recall all of them. Psyche stopped walking and tried to recall the name of the ore that's effective against the monsters. Cold water flew in from the side part. Psyche, who quickly became a drowning mouse, blinked. The maid who accidentally threw water on her made a fuss, but she doesn't seem sorry at all. The maids poured out words that did not know if they were reprimanding, apologizing, or being sarcastic. Basically, They are looking down and being disrespectful towards Psyche. Whenever Psyche blinked, the droplets flowed down, making it look like she was crying. Psyche didn't look back, she didn't stop, yet continued walking, ignoring them. The maids were not sorry at all because to them, Psyche is just a fake princess. In nobilities, the bloodline was important than anything else after all. As soon as Psyche arrived in her room, she fell down leaning against the door. She wasn't angry nor frustrated, but felt relieved instead. Strangely, thin ice was stuck on her wet hair, even though it was a sunny spring day. Wouldn't this cursed ability be found out if there was any chance? It seemed that Psyche has a curse relating to freezing magic, and it might show whenever she is overwhelmed with emotions. A few days had passed since then, but Psyche was still being bullied by the servants. Since experiencing being splashed by water, she focused on suppressing her ability. Still, she was happy because the name of the ore which she had problem remembering came to her mind. A moonstone. It was an item with no much value but very effective against monsters. The monsters living in the dungeon were weak against light, making the moonstone precious. But sorcerer type of monsters are the problem, since it was known to be intelligent. Psyche was lost in thought, trying to organize and finalize things. It was then, Psyche heard knocks after another. She came to see who it was. Lillian, who knocked and walked in Psyche's room, shyly greeted and spoke. Lillian was together with Lennox and Melissa, who were standing behind her like escorts. It was an unexpected meeting, since Psyche wanted to avoid them as much as possible. Lillian spoke shyly, saying that she wanted to ask Psyche a favor. Lillian was around the age of 3 when she disappeared. Therefore, as soon as she returned home, she was taught regarding etiquette and a mindset a princess must have. That's why Lillian asked Psyche to teach her, since she will be doing Psyche's duties from now on. Lennox added and spoke rudely, as if Psyche had no place in the family. Psyche was speechless. Her efforts were fruitless against the real daughter. That's why Psyche refused and said that she hadn't done much anyways. Psyche was only a princess in disguise, but in reality, she was just one of the workers of the Duke. Lennox clicked his tongue, perhaps because he didn't have much expectations on Psyche. Lennox just wanted them to leave, so he quickly urged his sister, Lillian. Psyche used to be a laughingstock, just by participating in meetings. She didn't really do anything great, but she assisted Lennox and is her behind the scenes. Psyche sighed. She didn't want to reveal that she helped her stepbrothers a lot. Lillian hesitated to leave and thought if she had more things to say. After some hesitation, Lillian coyly asked Psyche about Duke Bernadia Lestier. When she looked at Psyche, she wrapped her red cheeks and smiled like a girl in love. Psyche was at loss for words. Lillian cried out softly, feeling embarrassed just by thinking about it. Lillian asked this because she will be engaged with Duke Lestier soon, replacing Psyche. She asked Psyche several questions. Psyche only gave perfunctory answers. Whatever her intention was to come and see her, Psyche didn't want to talk anymore. Psyche gave the answers Lillian wanted, to make the conversation end faster. Lillian asked if she can be engaged without seeing Duke Lestier, and Psyche agreed. Perhaps it was an important thing for her. Lillian fell into trouble of thinking. Right then, Lillian asked Psyche if she can come along when Psyche meets Duke Lestier. Psyche was troubled. Their next meeting was to discuss the contract of their disengagement. Lillian tried to persuade Psyche, saying that she just wanted to meet her future fiancé. It seemed that Lillian really wanted to meet and know about Duke Lestier. Psyche replied that she wanted to first ask the Duke and tell him about this for permission. However, with a headache that came suddenly, Psyche felt that her freeze curse was acting up again. It was very painful. Her whole body seemed to be trapped in an ice. Psyche didn't want anyone to find out this weakness of hers. Still, the headache was getting worse. So Psyche grabbed her forehead and stumbled. Fortunately, Psyche didn't get hurt, since Lillian caught her. Lillian was very worried. Psyche seemed not to hear Lillian's words, since the pain was getting worse. Lennox thought that Psyche was just acting, and spilled his words insincerely as if he was the one troubled. Lillian didn't seem to believe Lennox, but he hurriedly led Lillian outside. Melissa, realizing that she didn't brought tea for Psyche, made a smirk on her face. Finally, the door was closed. There was no one next to Psyche, who was seriously struggling. Psyche barely endured the cold sweat creeping her all night, and it was already morning. Psyche struggled to open her eyes. There was a cold teacup and a letter on the desk. It seemed that a maid left the letter and tea without attending Psyche. Psyche still had a slight headache, so tea would help alleviate it. However, she didn't want to receive anything from Psychke's family anymore. That's why Psyche didn't drink the tea and poured it near a vase on the desk. Afterwards, she grabbed the letter to read its contents. It was an invitation to the second prince's, the son of the emperor, coming-of-age ceremony banquet. In her past life, she didn't go because someone tore her dress before the banquet. Psyche was speculating that the sabotage might have been done by an employee. Izu didn't do it since he prioritized the event. Lennox didn't do it because he was all talk, no bite. Neither did she thought that it was Lillian, since Psyche might shine by being pitiful. Nevertheless, Psyche was not going to attend the banquet again this time. Psyche was about to leave the room in her outdoor clothes when she heard a voice. She turned around to see who called her right when she wanted to leave the mansion. Psyche was slowly preparing to safely leave the Psychke family. But will everything go smoothly?
That's all, folks. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment down below, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will be posting more videos about good reads you may like, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. See you soon.